Omaha's news leader, chronicling the stories and people making a difference in our community. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Good morning, I'm Rob McCartney. Welcome to Chronicle. This is World Autism Awareness Day, and we also just wrapped up National Disability Awareness Month. So we're exploring the challenges still facing some of our most vulnerable, children and adults with special needs and disabilities. You know, nearly 250,000 Nebraskans have some sort of developmental, intellectual, or physical disability. That's almost 13% of the state's population. Many are in need of an advocate who will step in and fight for them. Some have no voice at all. But what happens when the people who vowed to protect and care for them betray that trust? This morning, we're talking with Disability Rights Nebraska about safe, inclusive classrooms. We'll get their take on seclusion and restraints in Nebraska schools. Earlier this year, KETV Investigates reported on a child abuse investigation in Nebraska City Public Schools. Jennifer Egri called police after sending her nonverbal son, Tristan, to school with a recording device for 4 days.
I felt that I let him down because I couldn't help him because I didn't know, because he can't tell me.
An arrest affidavit said video corroborated what was heard on the recordings, including the boy's special ed teacher and aides pushing and poking him, forcing him to walk up and down stairs as punishment, and verbal taunting. KETV Investigates uncovered another problem facing our special needs children in school, the issue of what's called eloping. That's where they wander away, sometimes making it miles before being found. In early March, an 11-year-old boy with autism walked out of Norris Middle School, but thanks to his Project Lifesaver bracelet, police discovered him an hour later in the area of the Center Mall. It used to be a bomb shelter.
It used to be was interfering with that signal, but it was great that we still picked up that signal because it allowed us to hit that area in particular really hard.
But in the high-profile case of Ryan Larson, the 11-year-old with autism walked out of La Vista West Middle School, hasn't been found now nearly 2 years later. And while there's no single solution to any of these issues, we do know there is a dire need for special education teachers across the nation and in Nebraska. Right now, the state is short about 140 qualified special ed teachers. 77 are needed right here in the metro. But earlier this year, one Omaha educator was recognized for her innovative work to ensure special ed students get quality teaching even amid shortages. And she's hoping to inspire others to join her field. Chronicle's Jack Keenan shows us why she says she understands her students' needs so well.
Lisa Moody dedicates her life to getting the best out of her students.
Whenever we needed help with homework or tests, she would always help us with it.
Friday morning's assembly at Jefferson Elementary recognized one of the best teachers in the nation.
The Milken Educator Award goes to Lisa Moody.
A surprise to the entire school, and certainly one for Moody, who in the moment was doing what she loves.
One of my students who I gave him some puzzles because he gets kind of overstimulated by stuff, and so he was like, I don't know how to do this, so I was sitting there helping him put together the puzzle, and then he had gotten it figured out right when they announced the name, so when my name got called, I didn't even know what to think.
The Milken Educator Award scours the nation, looking to celebrate and elevate top-tier teachers. It's not something you can apply for, but rather are found for. At Jefferson Elementary, they found Miss Moody.
I was born with cerebral palsy, and so naturally I understand what it's like to struggle in a world that wasn't built for you. I just wanted to be that kind of role model who could, show them that yes, life isn't always easy, and yes, you're dealt a card that might not be easy to deal with, but that doesn't have to define who you are.
Facing special ed teacher shortages, Moody led a new inclusive program that brought her alternative learning curriculum into general classrooms.
She is able to see beyond the disability and find out exactly what their abilities are and what needs that she can meet to just continue to have them have growth and success in the classroom.
The innovation helps special education students with their social skills, while teachers like Moody focus on academic subjects.
The kids have really had amazing, amazing results with Lisa.
And because of her efforts, Moody is the only educator in Nebraska this year to be awarded the $25,000 honor.
My name may be on the paper, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a school, it's a team effort, because I couldn't do it without all of the people that step in and support me every day.
While piloting this special hybrid program, Moody hopes others will join her.
I really hope that we can do better as an educational community, recruiting more people into education and into special ed specifically.
In reaping the rewards that come with caring for our kids.
It's never the same. You're never tired, you're never bored, but gosh, those kids love you and they look up to you, and it's a great job.
I was crying tears of joy, and then I'm so proud. I wish that she can have a lucky life, you know?
Thank you.
Jack Keenan, KETV Newswatch 7.
I absolutely love that. Lisa certainly is a beacon of hope. And joining us now from Disability Rights Nebraska is Public Policy Director Brad Murins, and also Pat Cottingham. She is the Inclusive Education Lay Advocacy Coordinator. If I got that right.
You did.
Okay, and so thank you both for being here today. Appreciate it. First off, I wanted to talk about safe, inclusive classrooms. Basically, safe learning environments, right, where all students are supported intellectually and also academically. How would you two assess the state of Nebraska's schools? Are we in a good spot? Does work need to be done? Brad?
You know, I think for the most part, our educational system works okay. There are certainly many areas that need to be improved around, student discipline, curriculum, services. I know we noticed a lot. A very common thing now is to send the kids home really early. For like 1 hour at school and then send them home because of a behavior. So there are a lot, and the need for new teachers. There's a lot of areas that need to be improved, but I think in Nebraska's spirit, we'll work it out.
Okay, Pat, what do you think?
I think it's hit or miss. So some schools do a really, really fabulous job, and some schools really struggle. We receive phone calls from parents all the time with complaints about how their children are being treated in school. And we work with advocates to help them to work with their IEP team, their individual education plan team, to develop the supports that a student needs in the classroom so that they can learn and make friends and, see their dreams met.
Right. Hey, Brad, there's a bill in the legislature, LB 811. I know you're very familiar with this. It provides behavioral awareness and intervention training for teachers. And it says school districts can adopt policies that allow teachers to remove students from class and use, and the quote here is, reasonable, proactive, and instructive methods to create a safe environment and return students to the class as soon as possible. You testified against this bill. Why?
Well, one of our main problems with the bill deals with the restraint and the physical intervention piece. There certainly, on the removal from class, our main issue was there are specific federal laws under the Individual Disability Education Act and 504 that are very specific about how you can and cannot do a removal of a person with a disability in the classroom. So we were able to kind of get that fixed in the bill, and so then our attention then focused over to the physical intervention piece. We thought that there's lack of accountability for teachers. So as long as someone says that the action, the restraint or the use of seclusion was reasonable, there would be no discipline or no even revisiting the issue to see if it was even appropriate. So that's a big red flag for us. We also were concerned about the lack of definitions in the bill. There's no definition of physical intervention. There's no definition of, when you can do these things. So there's a lot of gaps and a lot of vagueness in the bill that needed to be fixed. But we think that we need a new approach. This bill's been in the legislature for probably about 8 to 9 years now. And, we just think there needs to be a new approach. And that this approach just obviously hasn't worked. And we need a new approach.
Okay. Pat, obviously, for students to feel supported, you mentioned it, they have to have an advocate, and that's what you're doing. The Disability Rights Nebraska's Inclusive Education Lay Advocacy Program. How does that work? What's the process?
We developed a curriculum to train advocates. It's a pretty intense curriculum takes 6 weeks. It's about 34 hours of actual instruction. We do this training twice a year. And then the advocates, the people who attend the training, oftentimes they're families, and they've struggled with their IEP teams and want more information for themselves. But they also agree then to help other families for a year after they've completed the training. And so when families call our office with questions or complaints or struggles that they're having, we try to pair them with an advocate in their area so that they can go to the IEP meeting with them. They have the knowledge of the law, of assistive technology devices, of supports that might be available that schools can use to help that student.
Can anybody be a lay advocate?
Pretty much anybody. What we have done is we've limited it to, we do not train people who are hired by the school system.
Oh, okay.
It would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, right.
Right. You know, you can't really go against the people who are paying you.
Right.
But yes, anyone else who has an interest in helping students and would be willing to help families.
Brad, there's something called the Developmental Disabilities Waiting List Initiative. I mean, this is an eye-opener for people who don't follow this very closely. Your office says the average Nebraskan with disabilities waits nearly 7 years to get services from the state. Why so long?
Well, you know, I think it's a classic case of supply and demand. There's a significant demand for significant services, multiple services. Everyone's disability is different, so we have to have a variety of services, and the need for those services outstrips the capacity in terms of the system to provide employees to provide those services, or in terms of appropriations to fund the state and system public developmental disabilities system services. So given that there's a lack of a significant demand, but not enough supply to meet that demand, it creates a waiting list for those developmental disability services. Yeah.
You know, there's extra money in the state's budget this year. Everybody's lining up basically with their hands out. Do you think your chance is any better this year?
Well, it depends on how the mood of the legislature. It's certainly, I think, one of the major solutions to the problem is going to be funding. But the problem is that it's going to be a significant amount of funding to fully meet the needs and eliminate the waiting list. And so hopefully we could, we'll get a few million here, a few million there over the years, but it's enough to get some people off the waiting list, but then they just kind of gets, filled in by folks who are then coming back on the waiting list. And so it's, we've been making there's some progress. It's certainly lesser than number of folks on the waiting list are certainly lesser now than it was in the past, but it's going to take a significant amount of attention and funding and growing the capacity of the system to really eliminate the problem.
It'll be interesting to see what happens this year. I appreciate you both coming today. Best of luck in the future. I mean, you're doing a great service to everybody. So,
thank you.
You bet. Well, next on KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle, disabilities aren't always something you're born with. You know that. They can strike in an instant. They can come on gradually. Next, we're joined by a group that's helped the visually impaired overcome life's obstacles and even thrive at any age. We'll be right back.